Okay, let's just get right into it. What you're looking at right here, this isn't just another hypercar, not even close. This is the McLaren W1, and it's a big deal because it's the successor to a legendary bloodline, a car engineered from a totally clean slate to, well, completely redefine what's even possible on the road. So that really brings us to the massive, almost impossible question that McLaren's engineers had to answer. I mean, think about it. When your family tree has names like the iconic F1 and the totally game-changing P1, well, the expectations aren't just high, they're absolutely astronomical. So seriously, how do you even begin to top a legend like that?
Well, you start by understanding and respecting the history, right? The one series at McLaren, it's a whole generational thing. You had the F1 back in '92, this pure analog masterpiece that just blew everyone's minds. Then, fast forward a couple of decades, and the P1 comes along and basically introduces the world to hybrid hypercar power. And now the W1 arrives, and it's carrying the weight of that entire legacy on its carbon fiber shoulders.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it all. See, at McLaren, a car with a 1 in its name isn't just an update. It's not a facelift, it's a fundamental statement. It means they believe they haven't just improved on the old car, they've completely rewritten the rulebook on performance. So you're probably asking, how exactly did they rewrite those rules? Well, let's dive in. It all starts with the heart of the machine, and what I like to call the 1,258 horsepower problem, the monumental challenge of not just creating, but somehow controlling and actually deploying a truly insane amount of power. I mean, just look at that number. Let it sink in. 1,258 horsepower. To put that in perspective, that is way, way more power than its legendary predecessor, the P1. We're talking about a figure that just pushes the WH into a completely new stratosphere of performance. Okay, but here's where it gets really wild. Unlike pretty much all of its all-wheel drive rivals, McLaren made the deliberate, almost unbelievable choice to send every single one of those horses exclusively to the rear wheels. Why? Because for them, that raw, unfiltered connection you only get with rear-wheel drive was totally non-negotiable, even if it made the engineering problem 1,000 times harder. So the big question is, how on earth did they make that work without just creating the world's most expensive smoke machine?
The answer, my friends, is this absolute beast, the all-new MHP8 powertrain. So you've got this V8 at its core, and it revs to a staggering 9,200 RPM. But here's the magic ingredient, that F1-derived E-motor. It's not just there to add more power. Its main job is something called torque infill. Basically, it instantly plugs any tiny gap in acceleration while the turbos are spooling up. So what you get is just this one, seamless, completely uninterrupted wall of thrust, all wrangled by a brand new 8-speed gearbox built to handle the chaos.
Okay, but creating all that power, that's really only half the battle. Now we get to the even bigger challenge, maybe the biggest challenge of all. How do you actually defy physics and get two little patches of rubber to put all that force down onto the pavement? The secret, as it turns out, lies in mastering the air itself. The core principle they absolutely mastered is something called ground effect. And the concept is actually pretty simple when you break it down. You basically shape the car's floor to act like an upside-down airplane wing. This makes the air flowing underneath the car speed up like crazy, which creates a low-pressure zone. And that low-pressure zone literally sucks the car down onto the road. It's how you get massive grip without having to bolt on a gigantic, draggy wing. And all of that builds to the W1's true party piece. This is where things get wild. You hit race mode, and the car literally physically transforms right before your eyes. First, it hunkers down, dropping lower to the ground. Then, this incredible active long-tail wing slides out nearly a foot from the back. And finally, it rotates, becoming a perfect, seamless extension of the car's floor, which just massively amplifies that ground effect we were talking about. And what's the result of all that incredible aerodynamic alchemy? 1,000 kilograms. That's a metric ton of downforce. Think about that. It's like having a whole other small car sitting on top of the W1 at speed, just pinning it to the road. That is how you make rear-wheel drive work with over 1,200 horsepower. All right, so you've got the power, you've got the grip. The puzzle's almost complete, but there's one final crucial piece. How do you make sure the driver feels connected, totally in control, and not just like a passenger along for the ride in some crazy science experiment? This is all about engineering that pure, unfiltered connection between the driver and the machine. And here's how they pulled it off. You've got F1-style pushrod suspension, which is incredible. They're even using groundbreaking 3D printed titanium parts to save weight and add strength. But for me, the most telling detail, the thing that shows you what they were really after, is the steering. In this age of electric everything, McLaren deliberately stuck with old-school hydraulic steering. Why? For one reason: to deliver pure, unfiltered feedback directly from the road to the driver's hands. No filters, no nonsense. Now, of course, no hypercar exists in a vacuum, right? To really truly understand what makes the W6T so special, we have to put it in the ring. We've got to see how its unique engineering philosophy stacks up against its biggest, baddest rival, the Ferrari F80. Okay, this table tells you everything you need to know. It perfectly captures the two completely different ways these companies think about performance. McLaren went with a big V8 and pure rear-wheel drive. Ferrari? A smaller V6 and all-wheel drive. But look at the key number here, the weight. The W1 is significantly lighter, and that gives it a much, much better power-to-weight ratio, which, as we all know, is the holy grail for agility and performance on a track. So really, it all just boils down to a fundamental difference in philosophy. You've got the McLaren W1, which is all about lightweight purity and mind-bending aerodynamic grip through the corners. Then you have the Ferrari F80, which is built for that brutal, explosive, off-the-line acceleration that you can only get with all-wheel drive. These are two totally different answers to the exact same question: what does ultimate speed really mean? So after all the engineering, all the numbers, what does it all amount to in the real world? Well, I think Jay Leno, a guy who has pretty much driven everything with wheels, sums it up perfectly. He said he didn't know how you could possibly make a car better than the P1, and that's exactly why he had to buy this one. I mean, that tells you everything. This is a car that inspires so much awe that even the most seasoned collectors feel like they have to experience what's next. And that just leaves us with one final fascinating question to think about. With its absolutely screaming V8 and its insanely advanced hybrid tech, is the W1 the absolute pinnacle, the ultimate expression of the combustion hypercar? Or are we witnessing the last, most spectacular roar of an amazing era, right before the silence of an all-electric future finally takes over? You know, that's something only time will be able to tell us.